Audiobook Spring. Listen to relaxing novel. Thank you for following and not crossing advertisements. Female doctor and journeys through time. Time to become a princess. Chapter 51. Announcement from the Princess 3. But when he finished reading the contents of the announcement from the princess, there was an expression of displeasure until it was frightening. Eyes filled with anger? Yukon? Tan Shuang's Huang pulled Liu Yukon's hand in a worried look, asking worriedly, "What's wrong with you?" Liu Yukon took Tan Shuang's Huang's hand. He clenched his fist so tightly, crunchy sound it was, as if there was a huge fire of anger that didn't know how to explode. That disgusting woman dared to ask for a divorce with him face to face, common or this? She thought of herself as a princess. Do you want to do anything like that, and still want to find true love? That kind of face, man, who is interested in her, would only hope for the power of the royal family. Where will there be true love? Liu Yukon didn't say anything. He turned around and walked away. Although he didn't want Lin Xin to harass him again, the fact that, did she declare it to the world to know this? Equal to making people in the real estate the steward must lose face. There's no way he can forgive. Yukon? Tan Shuang's Huang was shocked. Hurriedly walked over to hold hands. Liu Yukon kept it. Beautiful eyes full of worry. Yukon, where are you going? Liu Yukon stopped walking. Finally, he turned around and rubbed his hand. Tan Shuang's Huang's head lightly shook. Said in a gentle voice, "Shuanger, go back and wait for me. I have something to settle. I'll be right back." Tan Shuang's Huang was stunned. She slowly released her hand and clenched her fist. Tight lips, staring at Liu Yukon walking away, even after a long time, still can't bring back his senses. Why? Even though she had made Lin Xin no longer exist in the Liu family, Lin Xin still intervened in the relationship between her. With Liu Yukon again, she was hurt. If not counting the basics of the family, she was better than Lin Xin in every way, but Lin Xin easily stole her lover. Just like this? Lin Xin. Tan Shuang's Huang lowered his head. Hide satisfaction and resentment in the eyes. Lin Xin, you have already decided to let him go. Why are you still using this method? This kind of thing attracted Yu Chen's attention again. Or, you really didn't let us go. I really hate you, but why can't she do anything? She didn't even have the courage to hold Liu Yukon from walking away. The #1 princess, on the hill behind the mansion, Lin Xin was taking care of her magical plant. A white wolf laying in the sun on the side. Keep an eye on her, the eyes want to eat delicious food from time to time. At that moment, Liu Li's voice came from far away. Attracted all of her attention. Young Master Liu, don't go in. The princess has ordered that, no matter who you are, you must not go to the mountain at the end of the mansion. Fangru King Yue looked at the white wolf that was sunbathing with a smile. Wolf, someone is trying to snatch your Tianlingguo fruit. Wu? The white wolf from the coiled bed suddenly rose from the ground. It, barking angrily, its eyes were full of ferocity. Who is this madman who wants to steal his Tianlingguo fruit? A Diantian wolf like it, if it makes a person can't kneel and call father, it will jump him to death. That person downstairs. You go deal with him. I don't want to see his face. Lin Xin spoke with a calm expression. Oh, that's right, you don't have to die. If you die, I will make you starve of candles. Monkey, I'll die, you finish? He threw away. That's enough. Next, I'll put his name on it. In the blacklist of the princess's mansion, although the white wolf did not know what the blacklist was, he understood that from now on, this human would not have the right to take even one more step towards the princess mansion. Angry white wolf, a crooked human would snatch its Tianlingguo fruit. You can't let go easily. Seeing the white wolf rushing like the windline, Crossyow rubbed his chin with his hand. Everything about this wolf is good. The only thing that is foolish, deceitful, easy to use, in the future, I'm not afraid that he won't guard my house for me anymore. Chapter 52. Furious Fengti on Yuan. At the foot of the end of the mountain, a young man with a handsome face, well-groomed posture, and a family look Something was hidden in his eyes, his hands clasped together. I will meet the princess. Liu Li frowned. Young Master Liu, this is the forbidden place of the princess mansion. The princess has ordered it. Don't let anyone go in there. Sir, please go back. You go tell the princess she will agree to meet me. I have something to say to her. Liu Yukan's eyes were expressionless. He diligently said divorce. Lin Xin is gone. But this woman pushed to right and declared that she was people tell him to divorce. Where will he put his face? Do you see the chancel in the eyes? He had to ask about it. Why did she do this? Moreover, he did not believe that Lin Xin would not harass him again. Perhaps this was just a trick she used to get his attention. Suddenly, a loud bark sounded from the mountains, and then a gust of wind blew. Liu Li, who was about to speak, was blown away. When Liu Li had settled down the moment she looked up, she saw a giant white wolf straddling herself. Liu Yukan was there, his teeth split, his gaze was fierce. Liu Yukan was shocked and was helpless. His majestic face was ashen, his gaze staring at the white wolf that straddled him in shock. Third grade white wolf. This, in the princess mansion, raised a level 3 white wolf. A level 3 white wolf was comparable to a human level Shenwu. Even the talented Liu Yukan, now only practicing late level only, it was still one step away from the Zhenwu level. But the same level of distance was already as different as heaven and earth. The white wolf squinted his eyes. The gaze that it was staring at Liu Yukan was terrifying. It let out a derisive grunt from its nose. Lily. Liu Yukan was crushed by the straddling white wolf. Unable to move, he gritted his teeth and said, "Hurry and get this wolf out." Liu Li was stunned. She looked at Liu Yukan, who was straddled by the white wolf. Then stepped back, turned to look at the scenery, pretending not to know. Woo! The white wolf barked loudly. These humans dared to think of competing for results. Tianling Guo in its place. And still thinking of letting the maid give orders to it. A Dianshan wolf that was as valiant as it was. Is a magical beast that listens someone else's order. As expected, the barking sound shocked Liu Yukan to silence. His mouth, his eyes concealed the blazing flames of anger, but did not dare to contend with this white wolf. But I don't know if he thought it himself or not that he felt that the white wolf's eyes stared at him, as if he had snatched food from its mouth. That sight made him feel terrified and goosebumps all over his body. Suddenly, Liu Yukan saw the white wolf's mouth wide open, as if about to snap, causing him to be so startled that he quickly closed his eyes. But the pain of thinking can't really come back. It was just a tingling sensation in his back, like a chilly wind that pervaded his entire body. Slowly opening his eyes, he saw that there was cloth in the white wolf's mouth. From a torn shirt, Liu Yukan was helpless. As he lowered his head, he felt that his chest shirt had suddenly been torn into a wide hole, tattered like a beggar. The white wolf spit out a rag. And spit out, then it snapped again, causing the lower part of the garment to be torn off in a wide circle. One of the bottoms could be seen looks white like a jade. Owner? Liu Yukan was so angry that his face turned red. Magic's too in Princess Mansion, his personality was the same as Lin Xin. Obscene as a habit, so unashamed. The white wolf saw Liu Yukan in such a pitiful state, and it gave a satisfied smile. Chapter 53 Furious Fengdi on YouTube. Yes, the white wolf smiled. The corners of his mouth were lifted up. That kind of smile was evil. Just as Liu Yukan was about to cover his ass with a leaf next to it, the white wolf snatched him up with his mouth. And walking around without caring someone's feelings, gestures, hearts, walk out the door, the princess didn't let it bite him. It only bit his clothes like this. It's not considered a real bite, is it? Thump. On a quiet street there were only a few people walking sporadically. The white wolf threw Liu Yukan out the door. Then hurriedly used its paws to close the door. There are not many pedestrians on the road. But was pulled by Liu Yukan. Interested in all, Liu Yukan stood up frantically, both hands. His two sides covered his white buttocks and hurriedly ran down the south road. Without looking back, in front of the door of the princess residence, there are not many passers-by. But when out of range, as soon as the princess came, more and more people appeared. What to do on the road? There wasn't any clothing store here. So soon the news of Liu Yukan running topless on the streets spread throughout the capital. Even the people in the stewards' quarters could hear it. That day, Minister Liu felt that the eyes of his fellow nobles were strange. Knowing the reason, he hurriedly closed the door and refused to go out, afraid to become the town's clown. Scripture room gloomy atmosphere, everything is still, the people in the writing room are not dare to open mouth, even breathing had to be done cautiously. Your Highness, one of the eunuchs came out from inside the writing room, made an obeisance, and said, Wrong Gui Fei and Lord, the elegant woman has arrived. Feng Tianyu's eyes were expressionless. There is a savage ray, let them come in. Received with grace, the eunuch received the command and withdrew. Immediately, a beautifully dressed Liu Rong took the hand of a beautiful woman and entered the door. Her expression looked worried. Walked in front of Feng Tianyu with heart pounding, then crouched down in respect. Pay homage to His Majesty, Plain. Feng Tianyu picked up the teacup in his palm. The blood vessels on his forehead throbbed, looking furious. Wrong Gai Fai, Feng Rishuing, you guys are so daring. Liu Long and Feng Rishuing were so startled that they kneeled on the ground, their expressions trembling. Your Highness, I do not know what wrong I have committed. Please forgive me. Feng Tianyu let out a snort and picked up the bulletin board that was on the table, was thrown in front of Liu Rong. Liu Rong picked up the announcement. As soon as she finished reading that content, her face turned red. Looked pale and colorless. This? Lin Xin dared to do this, or is she forgetting good things that Liu Rong had done to her all these years, had to force her into a dead end? Father? Feng Rishuing clearly saw the contents of the announcement. She hurriedly raised her head to look at Feng Tianyu. I was so excited that I almost cried. Isn't it me? I did not convince. Elder brother really married Liu Yukan? Liu Yukan is not worthy of you, brother, at all. I have never thought of that before. Feng Tianyu didn't say anything. His eyes were cold, as if there was a great storm in them. At that moment, Liu Rong suppressed her expression, her fist clenched tightly, her beautiful face showing a forced smile. Your Highness, Kinger must have misunderstood. I and Shuang always loved and cared for her. To let her marry someone who doesn't love her, how did she? Liu Yukan's divorce letter must have caused her to lose face, so she was looking for an excuse to recover her face. Feng Tianyu sneered. Is that true? Your Highness, don't you believe someone like me? Liu Rong smiled pitifully. I treated Kinger like his own child all along, so I understand her actions now. Therefore, if Kinger wants me to admit that she fell in love with Liu Yukan, it's really because of me and Shuanger, for Kinger's appearance. I can accept it. Chapter 54, The Properties of the Magical Health Food 1. Or, you mean it was all Kinger's fault? A cold gaze stared hard at Liu Rong, who was kneeling on the ground. He interrogated in an unhappy voice. Liu Rong's eyes were shocked. Your Highness, I didn't mean so. I only pity Kinger. Daring? Feng Tianyu was furious. He immediately stood up. Wrong Gui Fei, wrong Gui Fei, you thought that I was a wise man. Oh, how soft, or how? All these years, Kinger has been humiliated by you. Man, I can see with two eyes. In the past, it was because I was worried. Kinger's feelings, so I patiently endured with you. Now you have progressed, I'll take an elbow like this. Liu Rong weakness. Her heart couldn't stop trembling. The privileged life over the people all these years had made her forget how she got the position of Gui Fei. Because Lin Xin, soldier, Feng Tianyu said in a decisive tone. From today onwards, Liu Rong had not been taken a single step from the palace and had not allowed the people of the Liu family to enter the palace to visit her. This sentence was to detain Liu Rong, restricted from Mrs. contact with the outside world. Father? Feng Rishuing's eyes looked frightened, her face discolored, her lips tightly clenched. Mother didn't have any intentions. My son didn't know that elder brother would fall in love with Liu Yukan. Had I known from the start, I wouldn't have. Wait for them to meet. Although young Master Liu didn't look too bad, it was a pity that his heart already had someone else. Luxury. A cold gaze fell on Feng Rishuing. You two are quite young. Should get married if you think that Liu Yuchen wasn't bad either. So you go and be his wife, good or not. Feng Rishuing trembled. She also looked up at Feng Tianyu. Unexpected feeling, father. Liu Yukan's heart already has someone else. If His Highness let me marry him is not equal to making me, aren't you happy for the rest of your life? The person she was going to marry had to be an elite person, not someone from the Liu family, especially Liu Yukin, such a weak manual. Bank. Feng Dianyu's fist hit hard on the table, angry expression. Since you know that marrying him is unhappy, why are you guys still persuading Kinger to marry into the Liu family? In Liuyun County, Linzin was the woman of the highest status. The love and care that Feng Dianyu had for her, the whole region knows it well. And love and care like this, it was something that Feng Rishuang had never received before. Even if he is the same father and son, why is his father so biased? Your Highness? Yurong saw Feng Dianyu's angry expression and hurriedly crawled forward. Then banged his head on the ground until a sound was made. Your Highness, may you have mercy on Shuanger who saved King. Please forgive her once. She was willing to be detained and accepted the punishment, but the daughter who was her all hope now. As long as Feng Rishuang stayed, sooner or later she would become great again. That person had taken her by the mouth. Feng Dianyu clenched his fist. He knew exactly what Liu Rong said. Be true, it was true that Feng Rishuang had helped Linzin. But before certain matters will be scrutinized, he couldn't do anything to these people. For the sake of Kinger's face, this time I will spare Feng Rishuang if there is still a next time. I won't let go. Feng Dianyu loosened his fist. Put one hand behind your back. Awe-inspiring, but the death penalty can be omitted. The penalty is still there. The soldiers took Feng Rishuang went to the Forbidden Mountain region. Let her repent for half a month. Feng Rishuang trembled, her head lowered to hide her anger and displeasure. Forbidden Mountain area. You know what kind of place it is by hearing its name. Chapter 55 Benefits of Magical Health Food 2. But she knew very well that her father had punished her the lightest. Thank you, father. No matter how miserable her heart was, Linzin suppressed all of her emotions and bowed down to show her gratitude. You guys can go now. Feng Dianyu's eyes calmed down. If he checks, it was discovered that the incident was related to Liu Rong. Liu Ying hoped to live happily again. Ever since that day when Linzin had finished planning the pill seeds, she had ordered Liu Li to go out and buy some more. And the method of cultivation conveyed to the magical creatures, but Linzin found that same linguo seed, the plant that she planted, immediately sprouts and grows. But the tree that the magical beasts planted sprout into small seedlings, just that. Keep it that way. If someone found out about him in Princess Gao's mansion, it was likely that the entire Liuyun County would revolt. She could sleep comfortably. The magic potion has grown enough. These magic pills are enough for me to boil sand water. More than one bowl with pickled fermented liquor. Linzin stroked his perfectly round chin. With these items, she was gradually firmly rooted in this continent. Woo! The white wolf barked in defiance, looking at the swaying magic potion fruit, salivating. It gulped down many gulps of saliva, suffering. You mustn't touch these things. Linzin put his hand on his chest. Of the white wolf next, the magic potion that the magic rabbits planted, I'll share some with you. The white wolf barked lightly. His face looked dazed. For among all the animals that were there, only it, the only one who hasn't signed a contract with Linzin yet. So it was just a house wolf, unable to plant magic pills. Linzin ignored the white wolf. When she finished the magic potion, Doan went to the kitchen. The kitchen in the princess mansion was huge. After Linzin dismissed the people in the kitchen have gone out, she started cooking nourishing food. Wonderful health by yourself. Not long after, hot, wonderful health food. One bowl is okay brought to the table. In the future, I will find more magical creatures to serve me. The work of cooking and nourishing magic food will be given to them. Fengru King Yuei's the next work will be even busier. For this fussy task, you can find a magical animal to do it instead. When that bowl of nourishing food fell to his stomach, Linzin felt that the stomach heats up. It was as if something was about to eject. She hurriedly sat cross-legged. Use magical powers to manipulate the powers in the body. Even if the nourishing food that she had made this time was used to lose weight, after all, it was a super nourishing food. And this kind of magical power has an effect on training. Punishment is more severe than taking a magic pill directly. Lian Xin was not willing to let go of this power in vain. She hurriedly moved her power. All magic goes to Dandian. Such a strong magical power in the blink of an eye. It filled in town spot, and at that moment, this superpower also rushed to the opening. The chi reached another level. In fact, the talent that Lian Xin possessed wasn't that bad. After all, she was Nalanian and Feng Dianyu's daughter. Having a talent that was inherited through her bloodline, it was bad, but not bad at all. But unfortunately, the former princess was an eater who refused to work. Never practiced penance, even how many teachers Feng Dianyu brought for her. How many people had been provoked by her to the point that her profound energy was spinning. After a long time, Feng Dianyu let her go as she wished. So many years ago, Lian Xin had never reached to meditation level. She had always been at the lower level of the Chuwu realm. Until getting power, this magic enters the body. Thus, she could reach the intermediate stage in a short amount of time. But it didn't end there. At the same time as practicing penance, layers of yellow fat also flowed out as a thin layer covering the white skin. Fengru Kings, Chapter 56 Meeting 1, Chirp. The four-armed monkey pulled Lian Xin's shirt over and pointed his finger at the bathtub, which is on the other side. It was as if telling Lian Xin that he had already prepared water for her to bathe. Two rabbits are jumping, as if urging her to hurry to take a shower. Lian Xin looked at the fat seeping from her body. She frowned in disgust. What meat did she eat in the past? Well, little monkey, go get me more bath water. You rabbit, you to keep guarding the door. Don't allow anyone to come in. Two magic rabbits knowingly nodded their heads, shrieked and jumped out the door. It was as if two gods guarded the door, not moving. There was a lot of fat on Lian Xin's skin. One bucket of water could not wash it all out, so she had bathed 4 times in total, and her body was completely clean. Her complexion was as bright as jade as before. Both white and soft, beautiful, clear, flawless. When standing in front of the mirror, Feng Ruqing was stunned. She squeezed her hand, groping hard at the layer of fat on her waist. His eyes showed shock. Am I losing weight? Really? The same princess weighed 250 pounds and was fat. First place in Liuyun County, this weight will be reduced. Soon, it will be difficult even if it is a wonderful health food. There is no hope she could step down from the position of the number 1 obese person to become a standard weight person. But Lian Xin felt that his waistline had clearly shrunk, and he didn't look sagging at all. Benefits of this healthy food much better than I thought. Lian Xin stroked his chin and smiled. If she ate to this magical health food many times, she would definitely lose weight again. But abruptly thinning down quickly will cause people are easily suspicious. Therefore, before she had such a strong penance, she didn't want to be caught in the eyes of the people. That grove. Losing weight must be gradual. When Lian Xin opened the door, she felt the sunlight today. More beautiful than every day, and the goal of sleeping with Guo Shai was one step closer. The princess's residence. The trees in the garden dropped their leaves. Qingling swept the fallen leaves. Wearily she wiped the sweat on her forehead. As he raised his head, he saw a woman in front of him walking towards him. Qingling was stunned. She felt that today's princess had something strange. Really? Looks like she's thinner? Princess Pika. Qingling slightly frowned and asked worriedly. During this time, the food in the courtyard doesn't suit your taste buds, right? Will you let the servants go and ask His Majesty to send a good cook? Did you come to the mansion or not? The princess has always been the one who chooses to eat. Yuan's cook. The princess must have had a bad meal these days. Why did the princess lose weight like this? Do not need. Lian Xin smiled. I'm exercising lately. This is the result of exercising. Also, during this time, let's have a tasty meal. Give me no meat. Luckily, these past few days, she has been running in the morning every day, so she used it as an excuse to slim down. Otherwise, other people know about nourishing food. The wonderful health she had will not favor the Liu nation. Qingling was dazed. Was the princess really losing weight, or why? In the past, even if it was done for Liu Yukin, the princess did not used to work so hard. Now for Guo Shai, can she really do this much? Look into the heart of the princess. The importance of Guo Shai. Probably much more than young Master Liu. It's true that Liu Yukon hasn't come to see me lately, has he? Before walking away, Finger Qing thought of something and turned his head to ask Qingling. Qingling was stunned when Mrs. Dong came to her senses. So he shook his head, saying, ever since young Master Liu was caught and thrown away by the White Wolf, he never showed up here again. Chapter 57 Meeting 2. Good? Lianson nodded with a smile. If the next time he comes again, forbade him to take even one step into the manor. After all, she was someone who hated separating her lover, so she would never become such a person. Didn't Li Yukon like Tan Shuang's wand? So she will give they have fulfilled their wish. Along the Qinhuai River, the first tower, as its name suggests, is the inn first of the capital. Every month, the sons and daughters of the noble brothers in the city, the royals, came to record meetings here, and that forest was the first hall today. Particularly busy. Why didn't Princess Rishuang come today? The person who asked this question was Lin Yuying, the daughter of the criminal commissioner Lin. Obviously, she hadn't heard of the important things happening in the capital, so her tone was suspicious. Don't ask earlier. Princess Rishuang didn't know it existed. What's the matter with Princess Ruqing? Of course, His Highness had to side with Princess Ruqing, so Princess Rishuang was confined in the Forbidden Mountain area. Even people of the Liu family couldn't visit. An annoyed grunt sounded out. The look in the eyes of the young people who spoke in a contemptuous manner towards the lord, that luxury woman, he never liked it at all. May be called even disgusted. Zhao you don't have to speak. Have you forgotten? Not long ago you were gossiping behind Princess Ruqing's back. Rhythm? She popped up and heard it. She almost had someone come and arrest you. Later, Princess Rishuang went to help you talk. That's why she let you go. That's right, there was that time. My father said in the hall that I beg you. Bot trains Princess Ruqing well. After all, Princess Ruqing knew it, so she would ask His Highness to remove my father's position. Because I got Princess Luxuang, please say the same. That's why she agreed to let my father go. Princess Rishuang is such a good person. Originally, she and all luxury women are in love with each other. But probably because they help us often, thus making Princess Ruqing dissatisfied, detained in a forbidden mountain area. In other words, it's us who cause trouble for her. A talented person like Nolan Hong Hao, why do you have a child like him? Ying Luqing, Bun doesn't fight, it's not a problem, plus. The young woman had not finished speaking yet. The person next to him hurriedly put his hand over her mouth, causing her to swallow the words she was about to say. Everyone's eyes turned to the outside of the door. Suddenly, an image of a person standing in front of the door in the sunlight appeared. Looks like a nightmare. The eyes that came with a smile glared at them. Young woman's spinal flashes, her eyes were filled with shock and fear. She clenched her fists tightly, her trembling unstoppable. Princess Ruqing, when did she show up? Not knowing what they said a moment ago, how much did she hear? The girl didn't dare to think about the end of what Lianson heard. Those words, Lianson loosened his crossed arms, walked up to the girl slowly. Her face was laced with a smile. If I'm not mistaken, you are Mu Qinger, daughter of the Inspector General? Mu Qinger's palm was wet with sweat. When seeing the eyes that come with a smile like that of Lianson, she hurriedly knelt down to the ground, spoke in a trembling voice as if about to cry, Princess Beak, I was wrong. Please don't take the princess the surname of Mu. My father is loyal to the province. Liu Yan has always been. The words I said just now weren't about the Mu Pika family. When faced with the #1 rogue princess of Liuyun County, Mu Qinger was so stunned that she couldn't be herself. She was afraid. She was afraid that when Lianson was angry, the entire Mu family would be stunned. Troubled with, what have you done of yours? Lianson stopped smiling. She lifted Mu Qinger up. Speak with a serious facet. Just a moment ago, I just thought that you kissed. Ye have said nothing wrong. Chapter 58 Meeting 3. Mu Qinger was even more afraid. She was so anxious that she almost wanted to cry. She must have felt more at ease, but Lianson had spoken like this. How can you not be afraid? The others were so shocked that they knelt to the ground, eyes filled with nervousness, afraid that if this rogue princess got angry, they would never have a chance to leave the first tower ever again. Lianson frowned even harder. You guys get up now. No one dares to move. Lionsin was irritated. If you haven't risen yet, I will order people take care of you guys now. A group of young people saw that Lionsin was about to get angry, so they were startled and hurriedly stood up. Lionsin suddenly gave a satisfied smile. Must intimidate you in order for you to obey. That crossed this day because I'm interested in the meeting of only you, don't worry. I don't use man-eating demons. You are not a man-eating monster. But you are scarier than the devil. Oh really? Lionsin tilted his head and looked at the crowd. Faced with a smile, meeting of you, what do you usually talk about? Zhao Yang was the first to come to his senses. His face turned pale, demonstrating the fear that he used to have towards Lionsin. Today we talk about medical. Medical? Lionsin rubbed her chin with her hand. On this matter, she was interested. In fact, magic medicine is a branch of medicine. Magic medicine helps people to practice penance and helps in curing disease. Unfortunately, if it was a magic pill from the second level, the price would sky high. Normal people have no way to see it. A very ordinary person could only use ordinary pills. What topic are you guys discussing? Speak to me. Lionsin sat down, asked curiously. The people there looked at each other and looked at each other. They did not expect that Lionsin would stay to listen to them continue to talk. More importantly, they had criticized her a moment ago. She returned, not angry at all. This kind of story has never happened before. If it was before, they must have been crushed inevitably. Even family members might suffer as well. We're talking about, is there any way to help remove scars? In this continent, fighting is inevitable, leaving scars of course. But until now there is still no way to make a trace. This scar has disappeared, leaving no trace. Scar, Lionsin's eyes flashed. She remembered that there was a formula in the Magic Health Nourishing Cookbook. A wonderful health food that helps get rid of scars and blistering. Can be read, but in any case, it is a health food made from wonderful medicines. Ordinary medicines have properties. Like that or not, I don't know. We've tried black plum, pearl powder, bitter ginseng, olive, sanki, and other herbs. Mixed together as a salve, but it didn't work, didn't help the scar fade even a little bit. Zhao Yang didn't think Lionsin could help them, and didn't even want to talk to her. But since Lionsin asked, he did not dare to refuse, so he brought back what they had discussed. Lionsin listened to everything. Lionsin was puzzled. He looked at Zhao Yang blankly. These pills? How many of them? Besides, she hadn't thought of that. The noble descendants would be interested. About this kind of medical, why do you guys have to use a salve to remove scars? Zhao Yang was speechless. The others looked at Lionsin in fear. No one dared to open their mouths. Chapter 59, Meeting 4, because it's a grandson of Tyre. Finally, Zhao Yang opened his mouth to speak. Before I could say this sentence, he had to muster up his courage. All people knew that Landair was in such a state because of Lionsin was the cause. Instead, they helped the person Lionsin had done to hurt. This was tantamount to slapping Lionsin in the face. Everyone is scared looked at Zhao Yang with concern. An old general who has been fighting for the Liu Yu nation for many years, even though he is very old, he still refuses to let go. The emperor's nephew used to swear to protect the country with their lives. Liu Yun County, we live in peace. Can be happy because of them. We will let Dare's face be. This can't go on forever. Even if Fendi Anyu had the royal physician take a look at his symptoms, grandson Tyre already. But in the end, there was no way to save her face. To return to the saying, Dare's intelligence was already incomplete. We'll let her have. You can't have a face like this for the rest of your life. Lionsin was surprised. She felt the warmth and unthinkable that these people criticize medical research. It's my friend, nephew Tyre, and these pills. How do you mix them? Zhao Yang looked at Lionsin. Princess Reshuang helped us mix. All the pills put in were from her suggestion. We wouldn't have thought that we would use this method to help Dare. Princess Reshuang is such a good person. Ask the princess to let her go too. Yes. These pills, Princess Reshuang asked from the royal physician and brought them to tell them. Otherwise they wouldn't dare to do this. Only they wanted the Nalan family to be surprised. Therefore did not let the Dr. Luan also join every step. They only communicated with Princess Rishuing. But in this recipe, like missing something, thus making it invisible, it also caused several allergic reactions. Feng Rishuing, Feng Ru King Yui's. At that time, Dare was severely scalded. Feng Rishuing also participated. Even though the old princess had sillily borne all the guilt on her own, the people of the general mansion knew that Feng Rishuing had a hand in what had happened. Only others didn't know that the princess bears the guilt herself. The people of the general mansion were helpless to bring matters to Feng Rishuing. In addition, because Rong Kuei-Fai was deceived and took the Iron Blood plaque, as a result, Lin Xin's reputation was not so well known. People still felt bad for Feng Rishuing. This made these people think that Feng Rishuing well wished to help Nalentire. That woman. How good is it not to destroy Dare? Is there any way to wish her well? Zhao Lin Yuying hurriedly pulled Zhao Ying. She raised her head and looked at Lin Xin. Your Highness, Zhao Ying is just wishing well. If he said something wrong, please forgive her. Lin Xin stopped frowning. She said with a smile, do you guys know Songlu snow? The snow Songlu was a subspecies of the Songlu. Because it looks like a snowflake, it was called Songlu snow. It grows in the area only the northernmost, but general pharmacies are enough to buy. They gave the first tower to take boiled snow Songlu and pork knuckle, and put huishang, Songlu grass, bitter ginseng boiled for an hour. Then try to eat. This type of health food she adapted from the recipe. Wonderful health care. However, the wonderful health nourishing food is effective. Miraculous cure when ingested the scars of Mrs. Likewise, all that was needed was the third-grade Songlu medicine. Even if it's a different magic potion, but it helps to remove the scars. Gradual scarring. All kinds of magic pills have magical powers and help restore the worn-out body. Just see results very slowly. Have to eat continuously for a long time. Of course, even general health food will see results slowly. But if you take it continuously for a long time, you will see results. Usually eat continuously for 3 days. Began to see changes, but if you want to disappear completely, I'm afraid it will take at least half a year. This is the difference between a magic pill and an ordinary pill. To turn an ordinary pill into a magic pill, it takes time, long planning, and intense magic power. Without Lin Xin's special method, it would be difficult. Chapter 60 Fermenting Magic Wine 1. The expressions on Zhao Yang's faces were astonished. Lin Xin will wish you well. Helping them this much. Perhaps she deliberately used the recipe. This food could definitely hurt Nalentire. When Lin Xin finished speaking, she walked out. Let those people watch her walk out of sight. Absently, I feel that princess looks different. Mukir furrowed his brows, muttering to himself. Lin Xin in the past, if he heard them gossip behind their backs to be angry like fire, there's no way to come as good as today, right? Everyone was silent. The people here were all descendants of nobles. Ever negotiated with Lin Xin? Quite a bit. What was this hooligan like in the past? That they won't know, but she today seems to have lost their evil energy, making them not as disgusted as before. The way the princess tells us, shall we give it a try? Qin Yue hesitated for a moment before asking. Zhao Ying shook his head and said, even after she had changed, she was still the same as before. No cure, Lentire, really? It would make more sense for us to follow Feng Rishuing. But Lin Xin had done too many bad things before. In just a moment, there was no way he could trust her. In comparison, it was Feng Rishuing who had always made them feel good. Looks more reliable. When leaving the first tower, Lin Xin returned to the princess's mansion. The magic potion she planted was already harvested. Now bring to marinate can be magic. When the preparations for the fermentation of magical liquor were finished, she took the liquor jar and stored it in the cellar. She wiped the sweat on her forehead and smiled brightly. After waiting about half a month, the magical liquor would probably be there. By that time, I might have an excuse to visit the general's mansion. Thinking about problems that the original princess had given to her, Lin Xin sighed. Fortunately, Guo Shai didn't mind her. Otherwise, she would be gone. Another right to go to the southern bamboo forest. If you can't enter the southern bamboo forest, then how can you sleep with him? By the way, I have to thank Rongji Yuifei. If not for Mrs. threatened Fengru to snatch the previous one. She wouldn't have stooped down when she saw Guosai if she had seen the beauty of Guosai. Maybe he's hungry and thirsty. You can go in and grab a bite to eat. Fengru King Yuai's, if the time comes, then she must thank Ranjiui. Fei a little bit. But Guosai had been away for several days. I don't know when I'll be back, she missed Guosai so much. What to do? Blindson's eyes flashed, and she suddenly smiled and rubbed her chin with her hands. Didn't see Guosai going to talk to the little snake is not bad. I didn't enter Wang has been here for several days. Guosai was not in the southern bamboo forest. The little snake must be bored, it must miss me. In the southern bamboo forest, a green snake, immersed in a pond, did not sneeze. Stop, it's tingling, as if someone was talking about it. While Qingju was wondering and unable to find an answer, the fat man's figure reflected in his eyes. It was almost shocking. Jumping out of the pool, his eyes were filled with terror and terror. Who? How did this woman get here? Help! Qingju was shocked. I want to dive into the ground and never come out again. But the soil here is too hard, there is no way to dig in. Little snake, I never knew that when you saw me, I was so excited that I hit my head on the ground. Excited, or where is it exciting? Qingju trembled all over his body. It was so scared that it almost cried.
Desire to listen to good novel? Don't forget to subscribe.